last year. We delivered 253,000 cases to Spark members. They spent just over $6 million. And we made those deliveries in 5,325 deliveries. And again, you served 7.2 million. One of the questions that we had in the sheet was, how do we verify our accuracy levels or how our service levels are? Those numbers are numbers that we use for ourselves. Mistakes cost money, so we have to make sure those numbers are accurate for our own reporting to make sure that we're doing a good job and that we're not costing ourselves too much money. So those reporting levels that we have are actually things that that are used for our own purposes too. So our dedicated account team, again, you both know Dirk and I, we have Max. We have additional resources, Charlene in Detroit, Karen, Vito and Jody. We have our executive team, we have drivers, we have warehouse people, we have our merchandising department, we have warehouse people. Say that again?
Your tech team.
Technology. We have literally all of those people are here to support the Spark group and all of the Spark members and the entire Spark program. Now I'm going to have Dirk go over the actual proposal review.
So when the RFP came out, I was almost getting a little sense of deja vu. Like, it just happened, I wasn't sure. And when I read through the proposal, I realized it was Boujat Day, this is not what it looked like before. So we read through the proposal, we read through what was needed, with all the different changes and stuff, and adhering to some of the regulation things. One piece that I went to right away was a score sheet. Like, what are you looking for, where everything needs to be, how this is going to be rated. Obviously, one piece that sticks out the most, you got 35 points in the, I'll say, market basket, or list of products that were listed on the market basket. Now, that being said, as the incumbent, being the incumbent, doing business, the items are actually items we're selling. So we couldn't exactly play games with the items. I didn't feel comfortable playing games with the items, looking for alternatives. These are the actual items that your schools are buying. This is reality. So that being said, when you start looking at alternative items, you can have variances that can be extreme between pack sizes, between yields, all that stuff. So we kept with exactly what you were currently buying. That being said, there's some bullet points that I want to highlight when you look at those items. So there was, the pricing that was created was pricing on the current bids that existed, and I'll talk about those in a second, with this proposal, the proposal where we're at now, the fees per case, what have you. All the fees per case are in all the pricing. So 40 plus items on that spreadsheet were currently in 16-17 on CSM programs. CSM deviated prices, in addition to, could have rebates behind them. 50% of the items that were on that list were produce items and or center of the plate items that are driven by market conditions. So to look at a price in January on a produce item for 17-18 school year, it's not possible. At the same time, the pricing is dedicated to that week as listed within the RFP. So that was that produce pricing with this new fee per case is what that would look like. Obviously, we can't predict the future on what next school year is going to look like on the produce, although we have the ability to contract many produce items, and that can be analyzed by the board once we get to that point. There were 20 items within that list that were on what I would call K-12 specific bids already. So Kellogg's and General Mills, because so many of the items are directly targeted towards the K-12 market, they have their own bids they supply to schools in general. 20 of those items on that list, that was already coming from K-12 specific items. There were an additional about 15 plus items that I will say are not K-12 specific. These are items that were being purchased by your associate members that don't follow the National School Lunch Program. One example, if you look at a muffin on there, it's a full fat, full sodium, 6-ounce muffin. That's being purchased by an associate member that doesn't follow any of the regulations within National School Lunch Program. Then there were some additional 40 items that didn't have any usage at all. in order to get a proper bid from a vendor, we'd have to figure out some type of usage before they're able to supply any type of pricing. Those were some of the key factors. Keep in mind that all these items, most all these items, the way the program is structured, there's an additional rebate coming back to either Spark and or the school districts. I can tell you last year on the school districts, on the incentives that would be structured in here, you're talking Sysco paid between the two outgoes close to $180,000 back to the school districts. Sysco also, in addition to that, paid close to $80,000 to the consortium.
So those rebate prices are not reflected in these prices?
No, they're not. On the bottom of our spreadsheet, a couple notes on how the pricing and what the terms meant on there. And there were a couple line items on there that outlined the rebates that went back to Spark, the rebates that went back to the schools. In addition, there was a line item on there that listed the rebates that came from CSM program back to the schools. Some of that went back to Spark, but that's structured on here.
And I think what Derek's really trying to drive home too is the market basket, it really is almost an irrelevant tool. So I understand by virtue of procurement rules, you have to have that in there, but when we look at market baskets, and we see it in every market segment, but mostly in education, when you're looking at that, really the goal is to slot your lowest possible price in there, right? So, I mean, when you look at the way that the scoring is set at 35% of that, it's a big piece. But unless you're sitting down with all of those products and cutting them against each other, you really are not comparing apples to apples because you can't tell. It's not the same product in every can. We know that from all of our discussions over all these years with different products that you've looked at. There's a lot of, I don't wanna say games, but there's a lot of things that are played inside of a market basket. It's important to drive it down to what the raw cost is and really compare those and make sure that you are looking at relevant items, is it the same quality? And as the incumbent, that is the one downside to a market basket because you really are putting in the items that your customers are actually using.
How can we get those rebates, those quantities?
I was just
Do
gonna
some of that drive down ourselves, because that's a discussion we've been having.
We absolutely do.
We wanna
Yeah.
drill into this further and get
Yeah.
some of that real pricing.
So the one piece that is an opportunity that's out there that I think we've only come to phase one. Steve was in at one of the board meetings and is talking about doing analysis on conversion reports, which Lisa's gonna touch on in a little while on her piece. But there's a piece of that then on the conversion, we can say, okay, this might be X here, given your markup here, but here's the piece that's coming back to the schools after.
So let me
We
know,
need that
and
as
I
part
he
of
makes
this.
room for me, he's asking for the rebates, like the dead net price by
Stripped out.
district and by product, if I hear you
See,
correctly?
Yeah, because what was drilled down to us was that this has to be the largest point category to
Mhm.
drive procurement processes that's coming down from the USDA. So our program and all the wonderful things that we have needs to be reflected in this price list. So we need that information to be able to get that real pricing on these items.
Absolutely.
So it's important to make sure that though, so it technically should say that in your RFP that,
We
that
worded
it,
it
that it does not include any rebates
through
So that-
GPO or other
or otherwise
best
that
pricing.
it's best possible pricing on invoice. But you do have a lot of tools and we've shown that, and we use it a lot to go in and recruit new accounts. So when you're going in to evaluate and to show what a new member could anticipate, we take their descending case that they have from their current supplier, show what the invoice price is, show what the CSM rebating, show what their overall Sysco rebates would be, and quantify that down at the bottom to show. So we could use that same tool, and CSM can and has provided breakdown by the districts and exactly how much they get. And you see that in your rebate report when it comes. So I don't know if that's shared across the board, but it shows by each district what, so if we paid $73,000 out last year, it shows who got what. And we can actually go in and run a new one of those and send that over. But it's important when you're evaluating that market basket, you have to consider what is the
We are,
quality
we just
level in
need the
there and
info.
what is.
Yeah.
We want that.
Glenn, we have it, we actually extended the spreadsheet for our own internal purposes to actually come up with the financials for what we brought to the table. So we actually did the work, we just based on the way it was worded and the way it was structured, we provided you with what we thought you were asking for, but absolutely, that's how we got to our, all of our fees, our marketing, because we had to have the whole financial view. So we have that. We
Okay.
absolutely can share it. We have it by, yeah, absolutely. We have it by product. To Lisa's point, we'd have to pull together it by district, but in terms of your market basket, we have that because we built that. That's how we got here.
Yeah,
Do you want it just
We're
for market
interested in
basket or for?
best pricing
The
for the
market
consortium.
Just for market basket.
Just for the market.
We have that.
So you want the bottom
Yeah,
line
just
with
what,
no rebates?
just what's there on the sheet.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we can
Absolutely.
By
compare.
line
to
item
what it
or
is.
at the bottom, all the rebates tallied on
By
those
line
taxes.
item.
By
Line
line item.
item,
Yeah.
We'll
Just scrub
tab it.
out every
Which is exactly
CSM
what you
we
guys-
made.
yeah, you're just gonna put.
Everything affecting that real price.
Absolutely.
And we were careful in the RFP to actually outline that. However, the RFP response comes to us through best pricing, whether it's through GPO or contract negotiations or any other, that's what we want. So please get that to us
Yeah.
so we can evaluate it.
And we,
appropriately.
in all transparency, this is great conversation. We felt like maybe we had missed on that, but we had asked a couple questions at the beginning prior to when the question answering period of the bid process was available. And it still, to us, wasn't entirely clear, and we felt like what you were looking for was what was on invoice. So, but we have that. We absolutely can get that to you.
Okay, so this pricing is on invoice pricing.
Correct.
You would see in your bank.
So
With
we
what
need
you would
to-
see on your invoice, what you would see on your invoice with this program based on this current school year
Yeah,
bids.
if you can get us the
Absolutely.
other document, it would be.
Absolutely not
Not
a problem.
netted out price.
Yeah.
And then to Dirk's point, there are products on there that there's not usage and they're,
Yeah.
that associate members were using.